Welcome to Coach on the Couch. I'm your host, Jason Zaleski, and today's Coach on the Couch is Colby Hornet head football coach, Jim Hagen. Jim, thanks for being here today. We appreciate you stopping by.
Well, thanks for inviting me. Looking forward to the interview.
Yeah, well, we're going to have a good time. This is more of just two guys kind of sitting here talking, more so than an interview, but we'll talk about all kinds of things, but mostly Colby Hornet football. Okay. So with that being said, we're looking forward to the season. Live streams of Colby Hornet football and other live streams are available at ZaleskiSportsShow.com, and we look forward to the season starting on August 17th. Before we talk about this year, Coach, we'll talk about 2017 just a little bit. I know we were talking before we went on 11 straight years in the playoffs. Is that right?
That is correct. 11 straight years we've made it to the playoffs.
That is outstanding. And in 2017, you were back in the playoffs again. Maybe a little bit lower seed than you would have liked, and how that ended up is you ended up playing number 2 seed Amherst, and the Amherst Falcons went on to win another state championship along the way, and you just happened to be that first team. So, Amherst has been impressive for a long time. Or at least the last handful of years anyway. And like I said, they're just a juggernaut. They do things a little bit even unnatural sometimes as far as that's concerned. So it turned out it was a loss. Like I said, Amherst won the state championship, obviously. So what did you learn in that game going up against a team like Amherst?
Well, I think the things that you learn is, number one, they're a very well coached football team, and they got a lot of players out for football, and I think what we learned, and not that we necessarily can control that, but you can tell that those guys from Amherst get in the weight room, and they got some big kids, and they're strong and they're fast, and that is something that we encourage our players to do, get in the weight room more. Some do, some don't. That's just something that really I need to do a better job of as a head football coach in the off season, is making sure that our players are getting in the weight room, even if they are a basketball player or a wrestler, or go out for track and field. There's always time for those kids to get into the weight room, early in the morning, after practice. So I think if anything, if you want to compete with those teams like in Amherst, your players just need to get bigger and stronger.
You talk about weightlifting. That reminds me of a very short story. Back in my high school football playing days, weightlifting wasn't something that excited me. And most of the guys always wanted to lift weights early in the morning. I am not an early riser. So I had a buddy of mine, Scott Wojcik. He would come and almost drag me out of bed at 5:30 in the morning. So guys, get yourself a workout buddy and let him drag you out of bed, get down in the weight room. That's what had to work for me.
Yeah, and that's how it is for me. I personally work out, and if I'm going to do it, it needs to be done about 5:30, 5:45 in the morning, because of my busy schedule, being a football coach and an AD and a principal. So, and that's actually pretty refreshing to get up right away in the morning to do it. You're kind of fresh and ready to go. And in a workout partner, I would agree. I do have a partner that I work out with pretty consistently, and I think that definitely helps. So
yeah. So thinking back to last year, Coach, you won the first 4 games of the season, got off to a great start down the stretch. You were 2-3 coming down the stretch. Was that just a matter of competition that you were facing, or something else that happened towards the end of the season?
No, it was definitely a matter of competition. Like you said, we did start 4-0, and in those first 4 games, we had 3 of them were shutouts. And then we ran into the likes of a Spencer, who was a very good football team, and then the following week we played Regis. Again, they made it to level 4 last year. 1 game away from state. We took them into overtime. Actually, if we were able to kick an extra point, which we struggled with last season. That game doesn't go into overtime and we win, and then we ran into Stanley Boyd, late in the year, and they had another very good football team. So yeah, it was a matter of the better teams that we played later part of the schedule. All
right. Again, you're watching Coach on the Couch. I'm your host, Jason Zaleski. We're here with Colby Hornet head coach Jim Hagen. So, Coach, let's talk a little bit about 2018 and leading into 2018. What year number is this for you, and then how do you stay motivated as a coach?
Well, this is my 28th year overall of coaching. I started off in 1991 as a 7th grade football coach, and then I worked my way up to freshman coach for 3 years, and then became an assistant coach for Colby. And then in 1998, I took over as defensive coordinator. So again, 28th year in coaching, 2nd year as a head coach, and what really got me into coaching, I don't know, I just always had a love for athletics ever since I was a little kid. I think that started with my father, who loves athletics, and my brother, who's older than I, and it's just something that the Hagens always enjoyed, is athletics, and I loved school when I was a kid, and I love athletics, and it's just, I knew that I had to be in it some way shape, or form. And you know, I've coached other sports like basketball and track, but football's always been my love. So.
And being in it that long, Coach, obviously you know that senior leadership, especially on a football team, is big. It's very important.
Yes.
Talk about some of the seniors on the team and what their senior leadership is going to bring to the 2018 Hornets.
Yeah, we only have 6 seniors this year, which is a very low number for us. And but so far, you know, those 6 seniors, you know, I'll probably forget somebody: Reese Kellenhofer and Jason Lee, and you know, Matt Coonsey, Logan Hockey, Sawyer Smutzler, and I know I'm probably forgetting one other guy here, but you know, they're a quiet group of kids, you know, and that's kind of worrisome at times. You know, I did have a talk with them at the beginning of the season in the locker room when the other players were going out onto the field, you know, about you got to, you know, be senior leaders. You got to talk at practice. You got to push those younger kids. You know, at times they'll do it, but probably not enough. So that's just something that we got to keep encouraging them to do, is to take that senior leadership, you know, and keep working hard, because you know, if you're not going to work hard, those younger players aren't going to work hard. But so far, you know, we can't fault their effort at all. Other than they're a little bit quieter than we want, but they are working very hard.
Yeah, and that's something that you'll work on during the season.
Yes.
Also, other things you'll work on during the season are some of the other kids, you know, juniors or what have you, that are playing with you. Who maybe 1 or 2 kids that might start the season at this particular level, but got a real chance to be big performers this year?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, when I look at our overall team, I think the player who has the potential to be a really, really good football player is a junior by the name of Tyler Clement. He's about a 6 foot, 195 pound running back and linebacker, and he's the real deal. He's got strength, and he's got speed, and he just has great vision as far as running the football. So that's a name that probably people are going to want to keep an eye out for. And we're going to have an untested, unproven quarterback by the name of junior Roman Schmidt. You know, he doesn't have a lot of varsity playing experience, but he has the potential to be a very good football player. He's a smart kid. He's in the weight room. He goes to speed training. He's in the gymnasium all the time playing basketball. He just loves sports. So I guess once he gets a little bit better feel for our offense and gets some confidence, he throws the ball really well. So we're looking for good things out of him. And there's another kid by the name of Harley Schmelzer, who's a junior, and he's our wide receiver. Just a natural athlete. Doesn't spend a lot of time in the weight room, but he's always in the gym. If you walk by his house, he's always outside playing basketball. But he has great hands, and if you throw the ball anywhere near him, he's going to catch it. So looking for exciting things from those 3 players as far as, you know, students who aren't seniors.
Yeah, okay. Well, good names to watch, and we're going to have, like I said, a few games this year to watch. In particular, Coach, as you start the year, as we look at the schedule, first 2 games are on the road, next 4 are at home. Any strategy there, any advantage with that type of schedule setup?
Oh, not necessarily. You know, I had an interview last night, and they talked about is there any difference between having a non-conference game or a conference game to start the year? No, we'll prepare the same way. You know, Osceola's a long drive for us, you know, so we'll get that out of the way, and then we go to Neillsville. And then it will be nice to have 4 home games in a row, because last year we had 4 away games in a row, and boy, that just seems like forever getting on a bus. So, you know, looking forward to that 4-game home stretch, no doubt about it.
Coach, you mentioned Neillsville week 2 last year. You beat Neillsville 40-0. That'll be our first Colby game that we will stream live. Again, you can find those games at ZaleskiSportsShow.com. So you play them in week 2, and so we'll be there at the game. Okay. What are the chances of 40-0 again this year?
You know, I'm not really sure about that. You know, some of it depends on injuries, how the first game goes. You know, and I really don't know much about Neillsville yet. I know they have been down the past few years, but you know, I would like to think that if we play well, that we can beat them. But you know, we certainly don't take anything for granted. You know, that's you know, we tell our players every day at practice, we don't take anybody lightly. You know, we'll practice against Neillsville just like we would practice as we prepare for a Spencer. You know, just again looking forward to this first game against Osseo, and that's going to be really a big game for us. You know, not only as far as trying to make it to the playoffs, because you got to win 4 games in our conference to make it to the playoffs, but you know, if nothing else, it's just a good morale booster going into the rest of the season. Yeah,
good. Well, Coach, best of luck in 2018. I know we're going to have a lot of fun watching you. I talked about a couple of those games. We'll also see you at home on September 21st, so we look forward to that. And then we'll have highlights intermittently all year long. So, Coach, again, thanks for stopping by, and good luck this year.
All right, thank you, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, guys, this has been Coach on the Couch, and live streams, as I mentioned before, available at ZaleskiSportsShow.com and ZaleskiSports.com. Highlights all year long, fall sports, volleyball, football, what have you, all available at Zaleski Sports Show on Facebook. We'll see you next time.